Hello and welcome to our Property Claims in a Changing World podcast. I'm Philip Adamis, Property Damage Partner here at BLM. Today I'll be discussing what we at BLM are seeing in the market at the moment in relation to escape of water claim trends and what we think may have an impact moving into the future. So the main question is, why is escape of water such an issue for insurers? Well, escape of water claims account for a considerable outlay for insurers. Between 2014 and 2016, the total value of escape of water claims increased from £529 million to £654 million, which is a jump of nearly 20%. Insurers are paying out nearly £2.5 million per day on escape of water claims only, according to the Association of British Insurers. So you can see that the problem for insurers is both the frequency and severity of these claims. No one has been able to escape COVID over the last 12 months. And so how has COVID impacted on these claims? Well, COVID is very likely to have an adverse effect on the frequency and severity of these claims. More people are working from home, and so there is an increase in the amount and value of IT equipment, which is now kept in the home. Replacing this equipment is expensive. There is also a growing trend for high-spec equipment in the home generally, including home cinemas, televisions and white goods. Locking down the country has had an impact on reinstatement times. Many contractors are not working during lockdown, and those that are will be busy. This will lead to delays in reinstating properties with an impact on alternative accommodation and business interruption claims. So, for example, I'm currently involved in a case where reinstatement works have been allowed to proceed, but subject to social distancing measures being followed. This means that fewer workers are allowed on site to undertake the work, with the consequence that the reinstatement works will now take longer to complete than would otherwise have been the case had the contractor been allowed to have all of its workers on site at the same time. This is also going to have an impact on the alternative accommodation claim. There is also an issue over the availability of certain building materials with longer than usual delivery times, which will have an impact on reinstatement periods. Further, supplies rates will have hardened as the fewer contractors who are prepared and or able to work during lockdown are able to command higher rates for their work. There is also a concern that during lockdown and with time on their hands, homeowners will have attempted their own repairs on plumbing installations or even plumbed in white goods themselves rather than let a professional into the house during lockdown to do the work. Only time will really tell whether that will lead to an increase in the number of escape of water claims where the homeowner's work is found to be wanting. The added complication is that if a homeowner decides to plumb in their washing machine, for example, and it leaks resulting in damage, insurers will be unable to pursue any subrogated recovery which might otherwise have existed had a contractor plumbed the appliance in. Insurers could therefore be faced with the double whammy of having to pay out more for an escape of water claim, but without the prospect of recovering its outlay from a negligent third party. So the other big issue at the moment is Brexit. This is how we envisage Brexit impacting on escape of water claims. So the initial concern was that without a free trade deal, imported goods used to replace those damaged would be more expensive because of tariffs which have been applied. The deal recently agreed with the EU has removed this concern, well, at least to a certain extent. However, what is clear is that there is no frictionless trade between the UK and EU, with many companies now required to fill out various customs forms. This additional bureaucracy is likely to increase the cost of replacement goods for suppliers, with this increase likely to be passed on to consumers in the way of increased prices for those items imported from the EU. Going one step further, some companies may well stop importing goods into the UK altogether because of the increased bureaucracy and cost involved, resulting in reduced availability of those goods and a subsequent increase in their cost. The other concern is the availability of labour, now that free movement of labour has been abolished. This may lead to a dearth of tradespeople, which may result in increased labour costs. Only time will really tell how great an impact Brexit will have on claims, but one thing is certain: a no-deal Brexit would have been a lot worse. And finally, how can insurers mitigate both the severity and frequency of escape of water claims? Well, my initial thoughts on this is through validation of claims submitted in order to identify any fraudulent escape of water claims, Consider subrogated recovery claims at a very early stage and involve solicitors in that process wherever possible, so that crucial evidence needed to support a recovery can be identified and retained, thereby increasing the prospects of insurers being able to make a recovery of their outlay. Insurers should also be considering the use of emerging technology such as smart leak detectors when undertaking risk surveys, post-loss surveys, etc. I can certainly foresee the situation whereby underwriters offer discounts on premiums in the future where such technology is used and is proven to either avoid or at the very least mitigate water damage. Such technology, which can detect a leak and alert the property owner before the leak turns to a flood, can easily be used by property owners using their smartphones and Wi-Fi capability. The key to mitigating an escape of water claim is to detect it early and isolate the water supply before it is too late. The homes of the future will, I think, be smart homes, which will have built-in software allowing the water to be isolated remotely as soon as a leak is detected. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I hope you find it thought-provoking. If you would like more information on the impact of technology, Brexit and COVID-19 on escape of water claims, please read on for more detail in our blogs in this issue of our Property Damage e-zine. Once again, thank you for listening to our podcast today. If you have any questions in relation to the topics discussed, please do get in touch using the details on this slide.